Every one of us grows up listening to fairy tales where there's some sort of a happy ending. And regardless of how optimistic or pessimistic you grow up to be, we all kind of hold out some hope that there's a happy ending in store for us. And possibly having a little bit to do with the plot of those stories that we listened to growing up, we believe that that happy ending has to do with another person, that there is someone out there who's meant to be with us. And it's a very nice concept and a romantic notion. But unfortunately, things go awry when you happen to meet a narcissist. So I'm going to talk about that in this video and give you 5 ways to tell if that soulmate connection, that soulmate that you think you have, is truly a narcissist. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Common Ego community. My name is Christina, and on this channel we talk about emotional abuse, spirituality, self-healing, self-development, and much more. So if that all sounds good, like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you can be notified whenever I post new videos. So today we're talking about soul connections. And if you happen to have watched some of my older videos, you might know where I stand on the topic of soul connections and narcissists. Now, I do not believe that a narcissist can actually be your soulmate. And by soulmate, I mean somebody who you're meant to spend the rest of your life with. But I do believe that there are soul connections between narcissists and people who end up in close relationships with narcissists. And the reason I believe this has a lot to do with personal experience, but it's probably not what you would think. It's not so much about the other person. It's not about feeling that pull or that connection with another person, because if you're dealing with a narcissist, that feeling, that pull, is probably a trauma bond. But the reason I think that there are spiritual ties, that there are soul connections or soul contracts, is because there's a lot you can learn about yourself through these relationships if you're open and willing. Of course, that's not to excuse anything that the other person has done in their lifetime. That is their own karma. But speaking from personal experience, I can tell you that in looking at all the triggers and all the things that I endured in my relationship with a narcissist, it kind of left me with a roadmap of things that I needed to look at and heal within myself. So I do believe that there are soul connections, but not a soulmate connection, not a twin flame connection, at least not in the romantic way that a lot of people see the twin flame connection today. And that brings me to another point. I feel like in certain spiritual circles, there's a little bit of enabling that goes on with toxic relationships. There's a lot of weight that's put on dreams that you have with somebody, and if somebody happens to tell you that this person is your soulmate or your twin flame, it can leave you going back to a toxic person. But when you think about it, and once you learn a little bit more about narcissism, it doesn't really make sense that that would be your destiny, that you would sacrifice yourself, that you would sacrifice your life and your happiness, your emotional well-being to be with this person. In my opinion, it makes a lot more sense that this person is triggering things within you that you can heal. And it doesn't make sense that any of us would have to spend our lives with somebody who diminishes our self-worth, our self-esteem, and just generally makes us feel bad about ourselves. So as I mentioned in the intro, there are reasons why you might feel like you're having a soulmate connection or a twin flame connection with a narcissist, when that's actually not what's going on. It could either be that that person is love bombing or idealizing you in the beginning, in the early phases, or in the later stages of the relationship, it's probably a trauma bond. Okay, so without further ado, let's get on to the 5 signs that you're dealing with a narcissist and not a soulmate. The 5 signs that your soulmate is actually a narcissist. You may find yourself saying things like, well, I would never put up with that from anyone else, so this relationship has got to be meant to be. And you feel that way because this person gets to you on a level where you put up with things that you wouldn't put up with otherwise. The problem with these statements is that they point to abuse, really. If you're dealing with somebody who exhibits patterns of bad behavior and you're making excuses for them, or maybe you're not even making excuses, but you're just telling yourself, well, I don't care. I know that this person is, going to cheat on me again and again, but I don't care. It is what it is. This is my soulmate, and this is what I have, and I'm gonna make the best of it. That's not a soulmate connection. That is probably a trauma bond, and there's a good chance that you're dealing with a narcissist. So the second sign that your soulmate connection is really a relationship with a narcissist is that you hide parts of yourself when you're with this person. Now, there are a couple of reasons why this could happen when you're with a narcissist, and it would never happen when you're with your soulmate. I am somebody who's become much more spiritual in the aftermath of a relationship with a narcissist, but I'm also a logical person. So when I think things through, they have to make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me that you would hide parts of who you are to your soulmate or your twin flame. This is who you are. And if you have that sort of connection, if you have that intense soul connection, and you were made for each other, you wouldn't need to hide anything like that. You wouldn't need to hide you. But in a relationship with a narcissist, there's a chance you're going to have to hide parts of yourself. And there are a few reasons for this. One, it could be the narcissist's pure contempt. When you're with somebody, when you're with a narcissist for long enough, you're going to find that they have contempt for you. And it's going to show up in various different ways. Maybe they don't like the way you say a certain word or your accent, or, they don't like your political views, or they just make fun of you for whatever reason. There's contempt there. And if you deal with that long enough, you're probably going to end up suppressing that part of you so that you don't end up experiencing that. So you don't have the contempt, and you don't have somebody who's always making fun of you. Another reason why you might want to hide parts of yourself is that when you're with a narcissist for long enough, you're going to end up walking on eggshells, because as much as there are going to be things that are going to set this person off, there are going to be things that you have no idea. You're going to walk into landmines where you just say something and you don't know how it's going to affect that person, and they just blow up. You never really get an explanation for why they blew up, but for whatever reason, whatever you did or said seriously upset them. And you can't truly be yourself with somebody you have to walk on eggshells with. You're going to be hiding parts of yourself, and that's not a soulmate connection. The third sign that your soulmate connection is really a relationship with a narcissist is that you're hiding your relationship from other people. And again, this can happen with a narcissist for a few different reasons. It could be that you once had what you feel is a special relationship with a narcissist, a primary relationship. Maybe you were dating, maybe you were married, and for whatever reason, you had to call it off. And then someone else ended up in the picture with them, and you're behind the scenes. You're hiding your relationship. This happens very often with narcissists. Or it could be that you met this person and maybe you knew they were with somebody else, or maybe you found out later, but you have to hide your relationship if you want to keep it going. And again, I see this a lot when people talk about twin flames or twin flames in separation. And it definitely worries me, because this is a toxic situation. If somebody is not choosing you, you should not be choosing that person. That can't be a soulmate connection. Who knows? It's possible that you meet somebody and you have a great connection and they're with someone else. If this person really does care about you, they wouldn't really put you in that position where you are sacrificing your morals, you're bringing bad karma upon yourself. It's just not a soulmate connection, and it's not a twin flame connection, not in any romantic we're meant to be together sort of way. So the fourth sign that your soulmate is really a narcissist is you have the type of relationship that other people, they just don't understand, and not in a good way. So there is a good way that this could happen. If you had like a real soulmate connection, it's possible that other people wouldn't completely understand it, because that type of connection, it's rare. It's rare that you're so connected and so in sync with another person who you choose to spend your life with, especially if the relationship has gone on for years. But if you're with a narcissist, People aren't going to understand your relationship because it's not going to make sense. It's just not going to make any sense at all. And that's not a good thing. I think sometimes people see it as a good thing. Oh, well, that's just us. And that's just how we are. And other people don't understand. But usually in those cases, it's toxic. The thing that people really don't understand is why this relationship continues when it's so clearly toxic. And they may not understand why you go back to this person who's hurt you so many times. That right there you can take as evidence of a trauma bond. That is not a soulmate connection. And it's not really something special that you guys share together. It's something toxic that you really need to take a hard look at and decide really whether you want that in your life or not. And the fifth sign that your soulmate is really a narcissist is that you are on damage control for this person all the time. And this usually doesn't happen early in the relationship. It's something that typically happens a little bit later. Narcissists harbor a lot of contempt just for you, for your friends, for your family, for all the people around you, all the people around them. They have a lot of contempt, and it shows through. They also lack emotional empathy. So you're going to end up explaining their behavior a lot. You'll end up explaining why this person didn't show up at this important event, or why they were rude to you, why they were rude to someone else. And it's not a one-off thing. It's a pattern that you might end up in more often than not. And the reason you do this is because you want this relationship to continue. You know it's toxic on some level, whether you're ready to admit it or not. Sometimes it can be difficult to admit when you're in it, but you want this relationship to continue. Maybe you feel like you need this relationship to continue. So you run damage control on this person's image to the people who are important to you. So I hope this video helped clear up whether or not you might be dealing with a narcissist instead of a soulmate connection, because it really is very common for somebody to think that they are dealing with their soulmate when it's really a narcissist, or even a twin flame when it's really a narcissist. And I want to leave you with one more thought on the topic, if you're not sold yet. Think about it this way. Think about how many people the narcissist is dealing with in their life. And think about how many people might be trauma bonded to that narcissist. Now, especially if you're dealing with a narcissist who likes to cheat and who's leading a double life, could that narcissist really be a twin flame or a soulmate for everyone? Because you can bet that the other people in that narcissist's life probably feel the same way, because they're probably also trauma bonded. And this, I hope, will hit home for anybody who is in a hidden relationship with a narcissist, because it's going to be the same no matter what they tell you is going on in their other relationships. That person is sticking around for a reason. So if you found this video helpful, please let me know by hitting the like button, and if you'd like to see more like it, subscribe, and I will see you next time.